Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome, brothers and sisters, to Ramadan Reminders. I want to share with you a story where Rasulullah shared with his companions. One day he sat down with them, telling them about a man who will be the last person to leave hellfire. He's torched, burned, limping and crawling out of hellfire, and finally escapes it. He turns back to hellfire and says, Alhamdulillah, who have saved me from you. Let's pause for a second, because when we talk about the blessing or paradise itself, we often focus on the enjoyment, the blessings, the joy we will be having in paradise itself. But we fail to notice that before our entrance in paradise, the very fact that we're saved from hellfire is in itself a blessing that we can never thank Allah for. Because that man who managed to escape hellfire will then swear by Allah that no single human being have been blessed with more than what he'd been blessed with. And to him at that time is the greatest blessing. And the story doesn't end there. Allah didn't allow a tree to grow nearby. When the man sees the tree, sees the shade of the tree, he raises his hand and calls out to Allah. Ya Allah, give me that tree and let me drink from the water of the tree and let me sit under the shade of it. Allah then replied, I'm afraid that if I were to give you that tree, you will ask for more. And he replied, Oh Allah, give me that tree and I will not ask you for anything more. And when he's given that tree, when he's sitting under the shade, he thought to himself again that no one has been given a greater blessing than to sit under the shade of a tree that grows outside of paradise. Then Allah commanded another tree, a more beautiful tree, to grow nearby. Then he will then call out to Allah asking for that other tree. And Allah will then ask him, didn't you promise me that you won't ask for anything more? And that's when he replied, I won't ask for anything more. Swearing by Allah again. And Allah allowed, after being granted that another luxurious tree, then Allah allowed another tree to grow, this time near the gates of paradise. And he started peeking into paradise. And oh Allah, let me enter into Jannah. And that's when Allah replied, Ya Abdi, didn't you promise me that you won't ask for anything more? Then that's when he said he couldn't control himself, seeing the pleasure, seeing the joy of the people having in paradise. And Allah said, what will quench your consistent asking is what if I were to give you not only to enter paradise and give you whatever is in the heavens and the earth, and continue to give you over and over again, up to 10 times more. Then the person stops and locks his eyes, and he said, are you mocking me while you are the Lord of the heavens and the earth, Rabbil Alameen? Rasulullah smiled when he reached this sentence. Then the companions asked Rasulullah, why do you smile? And that's when Rasulullah replied, because Allah smiled when his slave asked him that question, whether he's being mocked. Allah then replied, I'm not mocking you, but rather I can do whatever I wish. Remember, brothers and sisters, when we talk about the description of paradise itself, it somehow resembles to what we've experienced in this life, but it's never close to our furthest imagination. Listen to the word of Allah when He mentioned in a Hadith Qudsi, I have prepared for my righteous slave that no eyes have ever seen, no ears have ever heard, and no mind have ever come across, describing paradise. That's when Rasulullah followed by mentioning, recite if you wish, that no person knows what is kept hidden for them of joy as a reward for what they used to do. As mentioned in Surah Sajda. The joys of paradise are far greater than the pleasures of this world, which pale into insignificance in comparison. In an authentic hadith in Bukhari, where Rasulullah mentioned that a space of a bow in paradise is alone better than all the world and what is in it. Ibn Abbas mentioned that the description of paradise are just mere words which will facilitate us to understand it, but it's never ever close to what it actually is. And imagine, when we talk about paradise, having gone through Day of Judgment, which includes 50,000 years of wait, having waited all your deeds, having been accounted for the injustice or the harms you've done for others, and after passing through the bridge of Sirat, which is as thin as a hair and as sharp as a sword, and when we reach the gates of paradise, what will we see? Angels. And not ordinary angels, but angels who guard the gates of paradise. And they will greet us with words of salam. In Surah Al-Zumar, Allah mentioned, and those who kept their duty to their Lord will be led to paradise in groups till when they reach it, and its gates will be opened. Before their arrival for their reception, its keeper will say, Salamun alaykum. You have done well, so enter here to abide therein. The peace here means more than just tranquility, but it signifies in paradise as a place where there will be no more sorrow nor grief. Any ill feelings that you have experienced in life will be gone. You have no appointments to rush yourself to, and especially in a place like Hong Kong, where we are often experiencing being bombarded with obligations, responsibility, pressures. All those will be gone in paradise. So much so in an authentic hadith in Sahih Muslim, describing that a person who's gone through all the most difficult, miserable life from amongst the inmates of paradise will then made to dip in paradise just once. This person who have gone through the worst of suffering, the worst of pain, the worst of sorrow, will be just dipped in paradise once and taken out, and then he will be asked by Allah, O son of Adam, did you face any hardship ever in your life before? Or had any distress fallen to your lot? And that's when he say, swearing by Allah, that no, by my Lord, never did I face any hardship or experience any distress. Not that he's lying, but because just that one deep in paradise is enough for him to forget all the misery and suffering he has gone through. And at the end of the day, the greatest blessing of all is not paradise itself. Rasulullah also mentioned that Allah will say to the inmates of paradise, when those deserving the paradise will enter into paradise, Allah will ask, do you wish me to give you anything more? And the inmates will say, oh Allah, you have brightened our face and you have made us enter paradise and saved us from hellfire. There is nothing else we want. And imagine being in a state of nothing to ask must have mean that the people have been given so much so, more than what their mind can ever anticipate. So Allah will then lift the veil that's covering his face. And of the all things that's been given to them, nothing will be more dearer to them than Allah. And that is what Allah mentioned, لِلَّذِي أَحْسَنَ الْحُسْنَى وَزِيَادَةٌ. The people in paradise will be given with more, with paradise itself, and something more. And that more, when the companion asked what could be that ziyada, that thing that's more in paradise, and that's when Rasulullah mentioned, to be able to see the face of Allah. May Allah make us amongst those who will see the face of Allah, who acknowledge, who is recognized by Allah, our effort, our pains, our sorrow, and to enter paradise without any reckoning. Ameen. Till then, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
The one, the one, the one, the one.